That's what we're talking about now. Laparoscopic prostatectomy. Yeah, got it once. Because no fewer than 50 patients were diagnosed with prostate cancer. No fewer than 50 patients diagnosed with prostate cancer were successfully operated at Reddington Hospital, Victoria Island. In the last 12 months, Victoria Island is in Lagos, by the way. In the last 12 months, even some of the survivors gave accounts of how they were saved from premature death after undergoing laparoscopic surgery, a non-invasive pinhole surgery. Let's get into all of the conversation this morning with Professor Kingsley Ekweme, who is consultant urological and robotic surgeon, and who also does laparoscopic prostatectomies. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
And of course, we also have Dr. Shola Oluwole, who is Medical Director, Reddington Hospital Wellness Center. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Maybe I should begin with you, Dr. Oluwole. This initiative, how important is it? How rare is it in the country? How costly is it? How serious is the issue?
Phew, I'm sweating. Too many questions.
Okay.
Cut the man some slack.
No, the reason I'm asking, because I know that there is a likelihood that he will be going from one to the other like that. How serious is the issue? How serious is this?
Some of these questions I'll allow Professor Ekweme to answer because he's the expert in this.
Okay.
But in terms of the incidence of prostate cancer, let's start with what are the commonest cancers in Nigeria? And maybe even before that, step back a little bit. 30 years ago, the most common diseases in Nigeria were communicable diseases. Now, in 2023, some of the most common diseases are now non-communicable diseases, particularly cancer.
Since you went there,
Yes.
in parentheses,
Yes.
what is the reason for that?
There are a myriad of possibilities. We don't have specific answers, but
Okay.
certainly change in lifestyle, diet.
Okay. Okay, you can go back now.
Okay. So in terms of how serious this is, bear in mind that the most common cancer in men is prostate cancer. The incidence of prostate cancer in men is multiples of the incidence in Caucasians or Asians. So it's a disease mostly of African men, black men. However, the prostate itself, I think I should allow Professor Kingsley to talk about that. But in terms of the questions you asked, sorry, if you could back up a little bit, there were about 4 questions. One was the incidence.
I know.
And then secondly
one of the questions that I raised is how costly is it
to treat.
Yes.
Okay. I think we have to put it into perspective.
Can it be treated?
Yes.
Okay.
Put it into perspective. What Professor Kingsley does, he's the only one that does that procedure in Nigeria.
Wow.
If you were to have this surgery done in the UK or in the US, it would be $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, depending on what was being done. Now, this is being done in Nigeria at a fraction of that cost. But it's not just about cost. Let's also take into cognizance some intangible benefits of doing the surgery in Nigeria. You don't have to travel. You have the cost of travel, cost of accommodation. In Nigeria, you're here in a comfortable environment. You're here with family and friends. All of that helps in your healing process. So all of that we can't put a cost to, but those are very important parts of healing from cancer.
When you said $40,000, $50,000, I wanted to just tell you that's just for the treatment. There are other variables that cannot even be put figures
Precisely.
to. Prof, so we've come back to you for now. Because, first of all, speak to those issues that I raised. How widespread is it globally? And how serious is it in our country? What are the vulnerability? Okay, I'm going on with those questions again. Let's start with those ones.
Okay, thank you. If you look at the global statistics of cancers worldwide. The incidence of prostate cancer varies across regions and continents. If you look at the developed world, it is the commonest cancer, clearly. And if you compare that to Nigeria, for example, even though prostate cancer is the commonest cancer in men in Nigeria, the true incidence is unknown. And it's largely because, one, we don't have a screening program in Nigeria. If you lived in the UK, once you go to any general practitioner and you say, oh, I'm waking up 2 or 3 times at night to urinate, you get a PSA check, which is a simple blood test that can identify men that should be looked at more intensely to exclude prostate cancer. A high PSA doesn't mean you have cancer. It simply means that we should look at you in more detail.
Okay, my apologies.
Yes.
Because someone is now flagging in his mind, okay, overnight I got up like 3 or 4 times. What occasions getting up to ease yourself multiple times in the middle of the night?
Yes.
Is it because the fellow drank a little too much in the night, too much liquid in the night, or the body is ejecting some hangovers? What are the things that, at what point should the fellow worry if he didn't have too much to drink in the night and then he wakes up?
Yes. If a man drinks a lot of alcohol, a lot of water, or indeed, if you have high blood pressure and you're taking specific tablets for blood pressure, for example, that works by making you urinate, that is understandable.
Okay.
So they shouldn't worry. I don't want men to start panicking.
Exactly. Exactly the reason I asked the question.
Waking up at night solely because I want to urinate, and you go to the toilet and urinate. You go back to bed, and 30 minutes later, you have to wake up again to go and urinate, and you're going like a yo-yo to the toilet. And in fact, if you want to find out truly how frequent the man is waking up at night, you ask the wife, because they don't sleep. They'll tell you that, because immediately they wake up, she also wakes up. And that should be a signal that you should have your prostate checked.
That's assuming that they use the same bedroom.
Yes.
Okay.
Prof, what are the symptoms? At what point should a man begin to seek help that something is happening there?
Yes.
Beyond urinating too frequently?
I would hope that if a man is having trouble urinating or having noticed some changes with his urinating pattern, that he should seek help. If you have symptoms from prostate cancer, unfortunately, I'm afraid it might be too late.
Wow.
You want to find prostate cancer when you're asymptomatic. I get asked this by patients all the time. They have the most aggressive prostate cancer, and they come to me and they ask me, but Prof, I feel well. I don't have any symptom. I have no pain. And I'll tell them, thank God for that. Because if you have pain as a result of prostate cancer, it has spread to the bones. And the bone is the primary site for prostate cancer to spread. So bone pain, it's not a good sign, unfortunately.
So what you're saying, in effect, is that a man should have himself checked. He should not wait for symptoms.
Yeah, absolutely.
So at what age should a man begin to do that? And how often should he do it?
That's a very good question. Now, you have about 10% of prostate cancers that run in families. And that is an aspect that intensive research is currently going on, of which we're part of the group, that's looking into the hereditary prostate cancers. Now, of those, if you have a family history of prostate cancer, and what is that? Maybe your father has prostate cancer, your uncle, first degree relatives, your brother, then you should begin to check your PSA fairly earlier than the normal population.
Fairly earlier, at what age is that?
Yes, we now know that men with family history of prostate cancer develop prostate cancer 7 years earlier than the normal population. So for a black man, that should be from the age of 40.
At the latest.
Yes, the youngest patient that I've operated in Nigeria with prostate cancer was born 1976.
Okay. So, is there any likelihood that anyone younger than 40 could be susceptible?
Yes.
Even before 40?
Yes. You know, the lead time for prostate, people don't realize that if you get diagnosed with prostate cancer today, there's what we call a lead time. It means that the cancer prostate has been developing for at least 5 years. So doing a PSA check will help you identify the cancer early. Then that will prompt series of investigations. And in current times, you don't have to do blind invasive biopsies anymore. The science has moved on. We now have functional MRI scans. They are called multiparametric MRI. They are available in Lagos, in Reddington Hospital. They've got 2 MRI scanners, and as well as most of the good centers. And if you have that, that will identify the lesions within the prostate and enable specific targeting of those lesions for biopsies. So it's less invasive.
The question she asked has an extra leg. She said, when does a man begin to check? And you've given us an idea.
And how
frequently,
often?
Yes.
should that happen?
It depends on the value of your PSA the first time. So there was a study that was done in Scandinavia that looked at thousands of men. And that study clearly followed the men up for several years and noted that men that had PSA value of less than 1, I make it less than 1 so it's not too complicated for the viewers to understand. So at 50 years, for example, if you got a PSA that is less than 1, it's unlikely that you're going to die of prostate cancer in your lifetime. That's what the study says. So based on that, the recommendation is that if your PSA is less than 1 at that age, then you could do it every 2 years.
Okay.
But if you have a PSA that is greater than 1 at 45, you must do your PSA at yearly intervals at least.
Okay. Now let me take you back a bit. Tell us exactly, where is this thing called the prostate?
That's a fantastic question. Because I always say that you cannot question God. Because if I was going to use artificial intelligence to design a man, I would design it differently. I'll make the prostate superficial so that it's there. If you're tummy, you can just quickly pick it out. Sadly, the prostate is located deep down within the pelvis. If you touch your bone, you know where your belt is, yeah? If you touch the bone, that's the pelvic bone, the hip. You can imagine that the prostate is hidden deep down underneath. And that's why open surgery, which used to be the conventional technique for removing the prostate, is so difficult. You have to dig down within the pelvis. It's like operating down in a tunnel. The surgeon would have to wear a headlamp, like you're walking in the coal mine. He's not seeing properly, and your assistant, no chance. You can't see anything. So they're dissecting deep down there. They hit blood vessels. You have loads of blood loss, and then fixing it back. When you've removed the prostate, you have to attach the bladder back to the urethra. And the urethra diameter, it's probably 5 millimeters.
It's very small.
It's very, very small. Extremely very small. Yeah? And to put it back is difficult. You have to throw needles. Sometimes they throw 2-3 times. And so the outcome is obvious. Even in the best of hands. They lose blood, they lose their continence. The continence rate is not so good. And the function of sexual function, because you have to spare the nerves. And that's also one of the bad design, because the nerves that give a man sensation for erection surrounds the prostate like this, like rings of onions. And you have to peel those rings of onions gently and gently to free them off the prostate and remove the prostate.
And
so
then
that they
arrange
function.
them back.
Yes. And
anything can happen.
Yes. So you can now see the advantages of minimally invasive prostatectomy.
So tell us about that procedure.
Yes.
What is it? I'm going to come back to you for the business of it. Tell us about this process this one that
Laparoscopic.
Non-invasive pinhole surgery.
Yes. I spent my whole career doing this. And you have a camera, high definition camera, through a keyhole. You insert the camera, you insufflate the space.
Please speak English.
Okay. So we use gas to increase the volume so we can see with keyholes.
Okay.
And then we put a camera. The camera magnifies the vision times 3.
Okay. Is the patient able to follow all that on the screen?
No,
or they're out?
The patient will be out.
Ah, okay.
Okay. And with that magnification, you see the prostate in such high definition. It makes me excited when I talk about it, and I'm sure you notice it because I'm looking at it right now. And you don't have to search for it. You can dissect the nerves, you peel them off, and it's so nice to see.
Minimum stress.
Minimal. No blood loss. I've done 50 in Lagos, and no man required blood transfusion. Not even tablet for anything. They go home, there's no painkillers. They recover from their operation. It's unbelievable. And I hope my patients are watching. If you have a dial-in, I'm sure they'll be great. They'll be happy to dial in and confirm to you. They have told the world what they've experienced. Yeah? And then you can fix it all back. And the keyholes are 5 millimeters, by the way. Within 2 weeks, you don't even see it. The man will be looking for it. You can't find it. Through one of the keyholes, we'll remove the prostate that we've detached. And the cancer is gone with it. And that's in a nutshell what the keyhole surgery is all about.
Okay. Dr. Lowley.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me ask you a more general question.
Okay.
What exactly is the function of the prostate?
You said you were asking me a general question.
Oh, it's not general. Okay, I apologize.
No. I'll defer to Professor Kweme. But the prostate is a gland that sits between the bladder and the urethra in the pelvis. The function...
it's very unfair to ask Dr. Luwale.
Yes. Because I'm not a prostate expert.
You are a general practitioner.
I stopped practicing. My original training was in general surgery, and then I went to public health. So right now, I'm more of an administrator.
Oh, okay.
So
That's why I said I'll come back.
even if I could ask a question, I'll still defer to Professor
Yes,
Kwame.
but no, this one you can answer. I don't want him to answer this one.
Okay.
The business of it.
I will hold my horses and take mine to him.
Yes. The business of it.
Yes.
Generally.
Yes.
I mean, you've spoken to the real cost of it when you go out of the country and all, and paying a fraction of it. At the end of the day, first of all, it's Reddington, not Ainke House. So the general image is it's costly.
An arm and a leg.
Yes. So that's why I'm asking about the business of it.
Okay.
So speak to that first.
Okay. To correct your phrase, it won't cost you an arm and a leg. It'll just cost you a prostate.
Just an arm. Okay.
It'll cost you a prostate. As I said earlier, typically in the UK, it can cost anywhere from 20 to 30,000 pounds. In the US, it can cost anywhere from 40, 50,000 to more, depending on the treatment that is required. In Nigeria, insurance covers it. International insurance, some HMOs cover it, depends on the package that you have. Yeah. So the out-of-pocket cost to someone who's insured in Nigeria is really not that significant. Now, if you're paying by cash or paying out of insurance, it's about less than a third of what you'd pay going to the UK or to the US. I can't give you an exact figure. Why? Because there are other things that go into it apart from just the procedure. But I can tell you that it's certainly a fraction of the cost of doing it abroad.
It's exciting when you say it's covered by insurance in a way, and then you also spoke about out of pocket. There are many who will not be able to sustain it, not because they want to die, but because they just can't afford it. Is this something that you think is covered in any way by HMOs?
Some HMOs cover it.
Some HMOs cover it.
HMOs have different packages.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it depends on the package that you have. But again, there's this perception that Reddington is a very expensive hospital. In actual fact, that's not true.
Even the name is expensive.
It really isn't. But a couple of things I'd like to point out. We have a wellness program, which means that we have screening programs, and we have about 5 different programs, and the cheapest is as low as 65,000 naira, where you go through screening. And part of that screening is the test that Professor Kwame alluded to, the PSA. So the first thing is, if you're a certain age or if you have certain risk factors, start testing. So for 65,000 naira, you can get a test that screens not only for prostate, but other things, high blood pressure, cholesterol, and other diseases. But it's important that we point out that screening is affordable and it's available. And I think more people, and that's why I'm here, because this is part of a wellness package, and part of the program is to increase awareness that people need to start testing early.
When you say on just 65,000, I remember my dad. He had a fight with his teacher, with the bank teller, when he went to a bank. Said his school fees, which his mom worked so hard to raise, and when the teller was writing, it says 175 naira only. He got angry with the word only. Only.
Do you know how much work went into making that money? Yeah, Prof. So what exactly is the function of the prostate?
The prostate hasn't got any overtly important function.
No, Prof. No.
I'm
No.
coming to it.
Are you a doctor?
I'm coming to it, yes.
No, because I'm thinking, so why don't I take it out when I'm 20?
Yes, but you see, it's all part of the design that I talked about previously. The actual sperm of a man is made by the testicles.
Okay.
But the semen, you got the seminal fluid, which nourishes it, carries the
sperm.
The sperm, and that at the bottom of the prostate are two glands that also come out of it, called the seminal vesicles. Together with the prostate, they contribute 80% of the semen. And that, for you, could be the function. But
So
you see,
if
you could do without it because you can extract the sperm and still achieve pregnancy.
If you took the prostate out,
Yes.
can you still
You will
function
not-
as a man?
Well, yes, if you have nerve sparing, if your cancer is not already locally advanced by the time you present, remember that the nerves hug the prostate this way, and if you have big cancer that's been neglected and found relatively late, but luckily not spread, chances are that it would have invaded those nerves that are wrapped around the prostate. And if it has, then I'm afraid the nerves can't be kept. Otherwise, you're going to keep cancer behind.
No, where my mind is going is, suppose a man decided to take it out before it got any kind of cancer.
Just
know
to
what I mean?
prevent.
Yes.
Yeah,
You're
just
talking
to
about-
prevent. Yes.
You're talking about prophylactic prostatectomy. It's not done.
It's not advisable.
It's not done. It's not like breast where you've got established genetic testing system that if you've got it, you're likely to have breast cancer. You can have double mastectomies and things like that. It's not done in prostate. I get asked that question: why are we doing all this? Can I not just remove it?
Exactly.
And I said, no, you can't remove a non-cancerous prostate. It has to be cancerous before you remove it because
Why can't one remove it?
it's a big operation.
Oh, okay.
And to have all that for no cancer.
Especially when all of the muscles, as you said, are
The
still
nerves.
hugging very strongly.
Absolutely. And if you did that, then it wouldn't be right because the man has potentially all the side effects without any benefit. Because mind you, the vast majority of men, would live and die from natural causes, not prostate cancer. And so I don't think you can make an argument for prophylactic prostatectomy at this stage.
Okay.
Yes.
So how often do you come to Nigeria to do these operations?
I'm in Lagos practically every 6 to 8 weeks. I'm here. I've been coming.
Why don't you just move back home?
Because I've got patients in the UK as well.
Oh, okay.
That I have to.
So you are a roving surgeon.
No, it's. I'm sure that at some stage in my life, I would be back home. I want to come back home.
Okay, so something Dr.
Yes.
Jola said the other time about you, that you are the only one who does this operation in Nigeria. Are there emergencies, just a thought, that if it's not done before you come back to Nigeria, the fellow could die? Are there such emergencies? In that regard, what happens?
Okay. Well, I hope that no man in Nigeria has prostate cancer that is with an emergency, because if you do, it's spread. It's spread of prostate cancer that causes emergency, which if it's gone to the bones and eats the bones and eats the spinal cord. I've got patients come to me already crippled on a wheelchair.
From prostate?
Yes.
Wow.
It will eat the bones, your spine, and the spinal cord, and you get what we call a spinal cord compression. If you have that and notice wobbly legs and you have prostate cancer, it needs to be treated within 24 hours. Well, sadly, the patients, I've had 2 or 3 that come to me, and 2 years, they can't recover their
Prof, this is a rather difficult question that I want to ask you. I know that Doc would probably kill me or have me for dinner for this, but in the event that someone cannot afford the 1/3 of the figures that he's talked about, and he's done everything possible, I don't know, he may also want to, respond to it, but what happens when someone cannot really afford it, but it is something that they have to do or else they die? Or you want to defer to him?
No, I'm quite happy to take it, because I decided to come to Lagos to do this. I've treated a lot of rich Nigerians in UK. They come to me. I've operated on quite a few. Actually, I came to Lagos first time because I had to operate on a patient that was seeing me in the UK, but the pandemic came and they couldn't, the lockdown, they couldn't travel, and it was urgent, so I had to come to do it. I didn't know where to do it. Hospital, I had to, that's when I called Reddington, because the group medical director, I knew he was in UK. And he said, oh my God, come, we have a good place where you can do the operation safely. And of course I had to vet it, my assistant. And I came, I performed the operation, I went back. But on my way back, that's when I started reflecting and thinking, okay, I've done this now for someone like this. And how about the people who can't afford to travel and come to the UK to pay a lot of money to have this done?
Okay.
How can I do it? That's when I decided.
That's how the partnership began.
Yes, that's how I decided that I will come and do it in Lagos.
You see what we say about medical tourism?
Yeah.
Go over there, and invariably it's a Nigerian doctor who attends to you.
Exactly. Wait, I want to ask you, Dr. Oluwole, this is probably out of the remit of the conversation, but perhaps something that can be considered. As medical director of this hospital, and you've spoken about out-of-pocket costs and all. Given the cost and knowing, our environment challenges people who will not be able to afford it but need it heavily, is there a thinking along the line of corporate social responsibility pool from here and there to just raise such things for people who may not be able to afford it but really need it for the good name, whatever, humanity, and all of those things?
There are a number of altruistic and philanthropic organizations that do have charity funds that can fund care for an indigent population. I believe Professor Kerman actually has something that he's working on as well.
Okay.
And as an organization, we take every case on a case-by-case basis. If someone comes in and there's an urgent need for something to be done and they can't afford it, then, we do make concessions. And sometimes we have partners who will offer to pay for someone's care. So there are different ways in which that can be done. But I think we have to point out that good care, unfortunately, costs money. And that's a reality.
We have to thank you both for coming this morning. The fact that the education is out, the awareness has increased, the knowledge has gone out for so many people, it's cheering. Is there a website for Reddington Hospital? Because I'm pretty sure some people want some information to start hitting you before you even get out of the studio.
Yes, there is. There's a website, and in fact, there's a phone number.
The phone number,
that
yes.
For Professor Kweme's practice.
Okay.
So we'll make that available.
Can you give us the number?
I'll
Please go ahead. Is it here? Because
Go ahead.
I hope it's not your personal line.
No.
Because if it is,
it's on
your life will not
on the
remain the same
internet
again.
It's on the internet already. So, and then I've got my PA.
Okay.
In Nigeria here,
Who responds
to all the messages, but people get me on WhatsApp number. It's +44 for UK. Is 7471
7471
633
33
753.
75.
And that's a WhatsApp. Many Nigerians already. It's all. They contact me, and then they also contact my PA.
But I would have preferred a Reddington.
Well, I can give you. Well, she's really a Reddington staff who's been assigned to work with Professor Kweme. So it's still a Reddington number.
Okay.
And for the purpose of anonymity, I won't give her name, but I can give you the phone number.
Phone number, yes.
It's +234 810 899 5291.
5291. Okay. 0810-899-5291. That's the phone number. The website, of course, is what you're seeing right there on the screen. I'm pretty sure if you just simply Google Reddington Hospital, I don't know if there are others in the world, but in Nigeria, that's what you will find.
And the professor's WhatsApp number is +44 7471 633 753. WhatsApp only. Thank you.
We have to thank you very much, gentlemen, for being here this morning. Professor Kingsley Ekweme is consultant urological and robotic surgeon who also does laparoscopic prostatectomies. Thank you all so much for your time this morning, as well as Dr. Shola Oluwole, who is the medical director of Reddington Hospital Wellness Center. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Morning.
Thanks for having us.
Well, that website is something that you have seen right there on your screen. I'm pretty sure that if you just go online, Google it, you'll be able to find it. Just for clarity, is Reddington Hospital. Well, I've seen business site here, but you just Google Reddington Hospital, you get to this particular one. Thank you so much for being here again. Well, that's laparoscopic prostatectomy. You need to watch this again. So when it's up in another 2-3 hours from now, just go watch again. Get all the information.
On YouTube.
On YouTube, that is. We'll be right back after now to talk more about children. Stay with us.